This is the most important part of Trump's speech during the other night.
And just over the last couple of months with the protests, they've killed at least, it looks like 32,000 protesters, 32,000 protesters in their own country.
And what are you doing to the protesters in your country? And by the way, those weren't protesters they killed in Iran. They were operatives.
Can we just for a moment discuss the fact of the juxtaposition between what is being said regarding Iran versus what actually happened in Israel? And of course, you would think, Jen, if 32,000 protesters were killed, you would think that quite a few of these would have been gotten on video and sent out to the ether on the internet. Am I wrong about that? Because it seems
it's just not true. Again, he's being told a whole bunch of things that's not true. Emmanuel Wood Schick says not offensive, and it's nowhere near like the N-word. No, I think he's surrounded with bad information. I think he very well might believe what he's saying. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I just don't understand. Like that whole, he's not the biggest moron though, because the biggest moron is the person cheering for the moron, right? So the room is full, as far as I'm concerned, of people that are infinitely dumber than him.
Oh, it gets worse.
They shot him and hung him. We stopped them from hanging a lot of them with the threat of serious violence. But this is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again. And are at this moment, again, pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to.
Okay, so again, I don't know if he's what. Well, I don't know if he's purposefully lying or if he doesn't really know, because both of those things, or both, maybe both. But
he's definitely in the dark about certain stuff for sure.
Well, but it's pathetic if he's in the dark about things that we're not in the dark about, right? Like that's the problem. It's not that he's in the dark of some things. It's just that it shouldn't be things that we know. So we know that we did no discernible damage to Iran's nuclear program or their facilities. They knew where those strikes were coming, and the strikes ended up at facilities that were empty. And we also know, and see, this is weird to me that I know this because he should know this, that even our bunker buster bombs don't go deep enough to penetrate Iran's nuclear program. So if I know that, then he should know that in theory, right? So for him to say that we destroyed their program and they've rebuilt it, no. And, it's just silly. And everyone in that room knows it. And they're all just nodding along, which again is they're the biggest tools there are the people agreeing with the tool.
I agree.
Make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference.
Now, if you look closely, if you look to the just directly to the left of Trump, you look straight ahead, you see a woman in blue standing, cheering. You know who that is?
Cheering, clapping.
Clapping. You know who that is?
That's the snake.
Yeah. Snake Warren is standing and cheering for Trump by saying, Iran could never have a nuclear weapon. Fact of the matter is, if Iran did have a nuclear weapon, none of this shit would be going on.
Okay, first of all, again, and I say this a lot of times with our show, Iranians and Iranian leadership, you should have a weapon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, their people and a lot of their elected in their I don't know the name, is it's not a parliament, I forget what it's called there. They have a whatever it is, but they do want to build a nuclear weapon and expand their program because they have seen our handiwork. See, they saw what we did in Libya, they've seen what we've done in Syria, they've seen our handiwork. But unfortunately, the supreme leader still has not taken away the fatwa on the development of a nuclear weapon because it is seen as a violation of the Quran. So it's interesting that the people that we choose to demonize are the people and their religion that we choose to demonize as the terrorists of the world. Yet it's that religion is the only thing that is standing between most of the secular people in Iran who want to have a nuclear weapon and having one. So I think that's a very interesting thing. Stanley Tucci hosted the women's hockey team in Milan for dinner instead of.
My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far.
Okay.
It's factually not true. It's just, and they're clapping. Those morons are, it's factually untrue. The #1 state sponsor of terrorism is us. Without, and by the way, the next closest person or country is so far down that it's insignificant. That's how we're the terrorists. Iran has never done, again, I reiterate, they've never done anything to us.
They've done one thing. They've done one thing.
What did they do?
They refused to allow the Rothschilds to have a bank in their country.
Wow. Okay, but they're no threat to us. They've never done anything to us. They've never hurt us. They don't threaten to hurt us. In fact, the only reason that they help the people that they help is those are the people that we have our boots on their necks. They help, they're funding the rebels. The Iranians are the ones that would be funding Luke Skywalker. And yet people are saying they're the terrorists. See how it's one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
Well, you have to remember, as we've been often saying, that Israel and the U.S. are one and the same, especially when it comes to terrorism, foreign policy, etc. And that's ostensibly what's going on right now. And we're going to get to that in just a minute. But this is a very important part of the story and why they were standing and cheering and why they do not want to have any type of conscription as far as voting is concerned. Ada Chavez, new top Democrats are working behind the scenes to stop a vote on the Ro Khanna Thomas Massie Iran War Powers Resolution, a vote that would force every member of Congress to go on the record over Trump's potential regime change war. And of course, it's these two clowns, which is already been reported.
It's Aipak Shakur.
Aipak Shakur, as a matter of fact, has been funneling through multiple shell corporations pro-Israel lobby money into several of the primary races going on in the Democratic Party right now. That's a fact. So this should not come as
so these two pieces of shit are trying to derail what is constitutionally actually required, because this country has been in violation of our own constitution since 9/11. Like continuously since 9/11. And the fact that every time somebody tries to initiate the War Powers Act, which is what needed to happen every single time that this has come, and they don't. And now these two buffoons are standing in the way. Let's find who their big donors are besides AIPAC.
Colin, can you pull up the article, please? Top Democrats try to stop vote that would put them on record for Trump's Iran war. Democratic leadership and senior aides are working to blunt momentum for a vote on the Khanna Massie Iran War Powers Resolution. House Foreign Affairs Committee Democrats have been working behind the scenes to try to prevent a vote from Khanna and Massie regarding the Iran War Powers Resolution. A top Democratic HFAC staffer, multiple sources with direct knowledge tell me, deliberately inflated projections of opposition to the bipartisan measure, warning of 20 to 40 Democratic defections as part of a broader effort to dampen momentum and prevent the Iran war powers vote from advancing. Well, we know two of those Democrats that would be voting against this.
It's unreal. It really, I feel like we need to do fun math with Jen and Pete again. We got to do fun math with Jen and Pete again, where we have to like figure out how many members of Congress have read the Constitution. You know what I mean? And it's very few.
Ghana and Massey had initially planned to force a vote on the resolution this week. Hey, force the vote. Where have we heard that one before? But Democratic leadership, just like with Medicare for All, is now saying they expect the vote to be delayed until next week or even later. And by later, they mean forever. The postponement comes as the Trump administration accelerates preparations for unauthorized military action, overseeing the largest U.S. military buildup in the region in years. Khanna and Massey argue that Congress must weigh in before, not after, the U.S. pulled into another regime change war in the Middle East, is pulled into. Their resolution would require explicit congressional authorization for any military action against Iran, a vote that could become one of the most consequential foreign policy decisions in recent congressional history. A senior Democratic congressional staffer told me it's pretty clear. Democratic leadership is working to delay or potentially sideline the vote on the Khanna-Massey War Powers resolution. If you've been around the Hill, this is a familiar playbook. Of course it is. Because they're all psychopathic warmongers and they only care about their career. They don't care about how many people have to die. That's all that matters. That's all it's ever mattered.
Yeah. Alex Collins, fine. He's doing fine. He's here. He's all good.
But I would ask you, even if we were to get this on the record, would that change their behavior at all? No.
No. But what's going to happen? I mean, I feel like I'm watching a train wreck in slow-mo, and every military expert that you could find talking about this, and it has nothing to do with partisan politics. It's irrelevant. I've seen people that worked for Republican administrations saying the same thing, that in every simulation our military has done in a war situation, in a simulation with Iran, every single one, we lose.